Good morning and welcome to St Clare's Virtual Open Morning. So I'd like to make a start now by introducing our principal, Mr. Andrew Ratu.
Thank you very much indeed, Suzanne. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our open event. Today, we're delighted to be talking to people from Oxford, other parts of the UK, Europe, and many other countries around the world. In fact, 29 nationalities are represented here today, and that's not counting some dual nationalities, so you're all very welcome. We want to tell you about St Clare's, the IB Diploma and our Pre-IB programme, and we hope to be able to answer any questions you might have about our amazing school. I'm Andy Ratu, the principal, and I just wanted to say a few words by way of introduction. This has been a fairly normal academic year. All our students are back in college, lessons and activities are in full swing, and everybody's delighted to be back to normality. All our IB students have just done a normal set of exams for the first time since 2019. Our infection control measures were highly effective and everybody has been very cooperative. St Clare's is unique. We were founded by an idealist, Anne Dryden, nearly 70 years ago, and our mission remains the same, to advance international education and understanding. So we hope you'll want to join our very special international community. We have students from 45 countries around the world, and we teach literature in 25 different languages with real, live, native speaker teachers. If you come to us, you'll be joining a highly successful, pioneering IB World School, the first school in England to teach the IB Diploma starting 44 years ago. Our average IB Diploma score last year was an astonishing 39 points out of a maximum of 45. This is way higher than the world average of 33 and places us in an elite group of schools worldwide. And many of those other schools in this elite group are very academically selective. We're proud that we achieve our results with cohorts with a much wider range of ability. So our value added is superb and we really know what we're doing. Another USP of St Clare's is that our careers and higher education advice and counselling is probably the best in the UK. Every year, our graduates go on to many of the top universities around the world. In the UK, a small number go to Oxford or Cambridge, but far larger numbers seek out the bright lights of London at LSE, UCL, Imperial and King's College. Quite a number of leavers go to top American and Canadian colleges such as Harvard, Dartmouth, Berkeley or Toronto, and European universities like Amsterdam, Maastricht, Bocconi and IE in Madrid, which teach their courses in English, are growing in popularity. More about this later from Helen, our Head of Careers and Higher Education. Unlike many UK schools, we're strongly student-focused in our outlook. Everything we do is designed to make the St Clare's student experience as good as it can possibly be. Our boarding and pastoral care are outstanding, and the range of other activities like sport, music, drama, and community service is superb. We welcome feedback about how we can improve too. I think that's probably about enough from me for the time being. Let's pass over to Al Summers, our Vice Principal Academic, to find out more about the IB Diploma and Pre-IB. If you've got any questions, please use the Q&A function and we'll answer them later on, if that's okay. Thanks very much. Over to Al. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Andy, and a warm welcome from me to all of you wherever you are. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about our courses, and I'll start off with the IB Diploma programme, which is our flagship course. It's taken in the final 2 years of school, usually before going on to university or another option. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how the course is structured, because it's quite interesting and distinct from other offerings out there. And I've worked in a variety of educational systems, and I would say that for me, the IB Diploma programme is the most complete and interesting model that's out there. So I'd like to tell you a bit more about it. The diagram that's up on your screen there is called the wheel, and you can see that the programme's got a structure that builds from inside to out. And what I'd like to do is take you through the individual layers now. So right at the very centre, we have the IB Learner Profile. Now, this is a list of 10 values and attributes that we look to develop in our learners. So, for example, being thinkers, being risk takers, problem solvers, but also being balanced and caring. And I think they're a very important part of the IB Diploma because they're explicitly there right at the centre. And in many ways, it highlights that this is an education that's not just about what you know and learning things in different subjects, but actually equipping you with some of the sort of values and approaches that are going to be needed in this, this interesting and globalised world that we live in. Around the learner profile, we have what are called the approaches to teaching and learning. And again, this is quite interesting. In many educational systems, the focus is just on learning particular subjects, and it's really left to the teachers those subjects as to what they think the skills necessary are. But the IB diploma actually requires us to specifically build particular skills within our students, the ability to think critically, the ability to communicate in different ways, the ability to collaborate, developing social skills, becoming effective self-managers so that our students are ready to take the next step when they actually leave us and move on, for example, to university, and research skills. And these are tremendously valuable and important, and they're embedded across all the subjects and the other parts of the diploma. And I think it's conspicuous that university admissions officers note that IB students are particularly well equipped for that transition to university because they have developed this range of skills. And I'll hopefully sort of exemplify some of that as we go through the rest of the presentation. The approaches to teaching, a lot of it I would just describe as good teaching. Of course, we should be developing understanding. It should be differentiated and informed by assessment. I think perhaps the thing that I would like to point out for you is that the teaching is always contextualized in both local and global contexts. And this is where St Clare's is at a huge advantage. With 40 to 45 nationalities present in every classroom, we have a range of perspectives and backgrounds and interests that really bring these debates about global issues to light. And it makes for very, very vibrant classrooms. Around the approaches to teaching and learning, we have what are called the core elements. Again, this is a unique feature of the IB diploma. All students undertake a critical thinking course called Theory of Knowledge. It asks the question about how we know and what we can know. It aims to cut across the disciplines and really get beyond just the learning of facts and to think about the means by which we attain knowledge. So, for example, when I, as a natural scientist, think about the experimental method, for example, and testing of hypotheses, am I using ways of knowing that overlap, for example, with the social sciences, where perhaps modelling and other things might be more effective. Really, really interesting course. Quite a jump for many students when they first do it. But again, TOK is one of these things that really differentiates students when they come to apply to university because they've thought deeply about the nature of knowledge and how it transfers across disciplines. The extended essay is the second component. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a long essay, 4,000 words long, formally researched and academically styled. It's a great piece of work. And our students can undertake it in any subject of their choice within the diploma. And they learn really valuable skills. They obviously learn to effectively project manage as they move their way through. They learn about referencing and how to research, how to get through the mine of information and misinformation that's out there now. Really, really superb skills and very, very transferable. And then finally, we have what's called the CAS program, which stands for Creativity, Activity, Service. And this might be seen broadly as an extracurricular program. So people undertake all sorts of different activities. So in creative, it might be art or music or debating or something like that. Activity includes most sports, and service obviously are the activities that we do that benefit other people. It's real experiential learning. But it's more than that. Our students actually reflect on their progress through these components, and they also plan on the basis of those reflections. It's a really, really good skill, and it makes the extracurricular program have greater meaning for the students. Finally, we get to the bit that I guess most people think about when they think about an education, which is the subjects. And you can see that the subjects in IB fall into 6 groups. So an IB diploma program will always consist of 6 academic subjects from across these groups. I'll talk a little bit more about what's in these groups further down the line. And then finally, around the outermost layer of the wheel, we have international mindedness. I think events over the last few years have given us a really powerful reminder that there's never been a greater importance to be placed on international mindedness. Both the challenges and the difficulties that we face are often global, and they are going to require us to collaborate and to be creative in the way that we work through them. I think it's an exciting time as well as potentially a bit of a scary time. And I think the IB diploma prepares our students to make the most of both the opportunities, but also to help to deal with some of the issues. So let's look at how a program's built up. 6 subjects as I've already mentioned. You take 3 subjects at higher level and 3 at standard level. The high level subjects attract more teaching time. They're not necessarily a great deal more difficult, but there's more content and depth. And they would tend to be the subjects that you might be thinking of for a future career or a university course. The standard level subjects can be seen as a little bit more of a supporting cast. You have to have a subject from each of one of groups 1 to 5, and the final subject can be either an arts subject or a second subject from one of the groups. The diploma is scored out of 45 points, up to 7 points for each subject, making 42, and then 3 points which come from the extended essay and TOK. It's a really good scoring system, actually, because, for example, let's say that you have 1 bad paper in a standard level subject. Maybe it costs you 1 or 2 points. That probably doesn't damage a university application in the way that perhaps dropping an A-level grade in a key subject might do. And it also allows a very sort of fine graining of that assessment to take place. So I'd now like to talk you through the groups within the IB Diploma. So Group 1 is Studies in Language and Literature. So for many of our students, English would be their subjects in that area. We have 2 courses, a pure literature course and a language and literature course. And something that's really unique about St Clare's is that we offer literature in a huge range of languages. So for example, at the college at the moment, I have people doing Serbian literature, Portuguese literature, Korean literature, Japanese literature, Bulgarian literature. It's a really great way for our students to maintain contact with the literature and culture of home. And they're taught by native speakers, which is very important. The second group is language acquisition. This is usually a second language. So for example, if I was here and English is my first language, perhaps French or German would be my second language. But there's more flexibility than that. You can either continue with a language that you've already got some experience in, which is a language B. You can start an entirely new language from scratch. These are called the ab initio languages. Or if you are bilingual, you can take 2 subjects from Group 1, and then you get a bilingual diploma, which is highly valued around the world. Group 3 is called Individuals and Societies. Broadly speaking, it is the humanities subjects, history, geography, business, psychology, economics and politics. We also offer an interesting course called Environmental Systems and Societies, and you'll see that it also features in Group 4. And that's interesting because you can choose it to meet the requirements in both of those groups, potentially freeing up more choices in your diploma, for example, to take 2 art subjects. In the sciences, we have physics, chemistry and biology at higher or standard level, and environmental systems. The IB Diploma includes 2 different maths courses. The first one is called Analysis and Approaches, or AA. This is more a pure maths course. It's really designed for, I guess, major enthusiasts or those that perhaps don't seek to have the sort of problems couched in the real world. The second course is Applications and Interpretations, which might be seen as a more applied maths course, and is excellent preparation for the type of maths that one might do in many of the sciences, for example, or in the humanities. And then finally, we have the arts. We offer theatre, visual arts and music. Many students choose to take a Group 6 subject, but quite a lot prefer to use their final choice to double stack, if you like, in other groups. For example, they might take biology and chemistry at high level if they wanted to do medicine. I've spent quite a few years now talking about the IB Diploma, and it both surprises and to some degree amuses me some of the myths that still abound about it. So I spend quite a lot of my time myth busting. Here are a few of the most common ones. IB is only for international students. Not true. It's a terrific preparation wherever you are, and the UK universities really rate IB students. The research is clear. IB students are more likely to get a first-class degree. They're more likely to complete their course. They're more likely to go on to a higher degree after that than their A-level counterparts with the same level of ability. The research is out there. It's also often said it's only for the most intellectually capable students. Again, I would strongly disagree. The fact that IB courses have coursework components and regular smaller tasks that count towards the final mark actually really helps to give structure, and some of the learners that perhaps struggle more find that structure really helps to keep them working at a steady pace rather than with extremely high stakes final exams to work for. Is it harder work than A-levels? Really interesting question. I think it's quite possible in A-levels with your terminal exams to use the first year perhaps less effectively than you might. One of the great things about the IB is that with its many components and pieces of work that count, which come in from fairly early on, people get into a better work rhythm. And so I think it actually encourages hard work, but in a good way. And that hard work, amazingly, is very strongly correlated with success at the end. I hear a lot of people worrying about keeping on the subjects that they don't like or they don't think they're good at. Actually, because of the way the diploma is scored, the consequence in that sense is really minimized. And actually, these things are part of a good education. You know, you can't escape from applications of maths in your life. You never know when you might actually find the ability to continue speaking a foreign language as a useful thing. Things that often people want to give up. Actually, you're still developing at age 16, and it's good to keep that breadth going. It doesn't drag you down. It actually, if anything, it pulls you up. And then finally, IB is not a good preparation for, and I've heard all sorts of things, not good for engineering, not good for medicine, not good for this. I could go on, and I'm sure Helen will be telling us in a little while just how many things that actually IB prepares you very well for. But really, it's a great education for pretty much any path that you wish to take. Finally, Andy's already talked a little bit about this. We're very proud of our results, and we're particularly proud because we are not a highly academically selective school. We achieve these great results through the excellent motivation of our students and the very strong experience of our teaching and the care that we put around each student. That's how they succeed and why they succeed so well. Obviously, that's resulted in some superb scores, quite a lot of pupils getting that perfect 45-point score, and we always feature well in the rankings in the newspapers. I'd like to now just talk a little bit about our course called Pre-IB, which is the one that leads up to the IB Diploma. It's a one-year program, and the aim is to provide people with the type of learning experiences and skills that they'll need to thrive in our IB Diploma. So they take a broad program, including English, maths, the sciences, humanities and arts, and they also take a full part in our CAS program. The program is not primarily focused on gaining qualifications such as GCSEs, but we do allow our students to sit IGCSEs in English, and for those with the right backgrounds and a particular interest also in maths, thereby getting some experience of taking a public exam and doing that preparation and having something that can add to their applications. It's a really great preparation for doing IB. It prepares our students for their Language A courses. They have the opportunity to try a new language. For many of our students, that development of academic English is what they really need so that they can thrive when they move into the diploma. Our maths courses are tailored so that you have the key skills to access either the AA or the AI course. And our students get to try out options in the sciences, the humanities, and the arts. And so they're then able to make really good choices about things that they enjoy or need to take for particular goals in their diploma program. And of course, they also get the full experience in CAS, as well as a great weekend program, including the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. They're supported in their evening studies to get into good habits. It's a really great preparation. I think you've probably heard enough from me now. I would now like to hand on to Helen, who's our head of careers, who's going to tell you about just where the IB can take you.
Thank you, Al, and hello, everyone. As Andy said, we're really proud of the careers department at St Clare's. I lead a team of 4 specialists, and we work very hard to meet the needs of all our students in a creative and robust and caring way. So we're really personalised and individualised in our programme. I would say the IB is actually the only truly global high school diploma, so accepted in 150 countries around the world. In the USA and North America in general, it's highly respected even by the most competitive institutions and seen as the most rigorous curriculum, for which you can even gain credit for some of your IB higher level subjects. So you've already got university credit before you even start your course. So where do our students go? Well, they come from anywhere in the world, and we can support you to go to any country in the world. You can see some of those very exciting opportunities that our past students have taken on the screen. But really, we add value to every single student. We celebrate equally the student with a $90,000 scholarship to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore as the student who gets into a great art school in the south coast of England. Because we get to know you really well, and we do all of our counselling and guidance and advising in-house in college, we can really help you find the best fit for you. And as Al alluded to, the IB is a really great preparation for pretty much any course, any subject around the world. And this is reflected in some of the subjects that our students have gone on to study. Of course, we know the restrictions and the subject specialisms that you need, so we help you to find the right programme, choose the right programme even before you start the IB. Some of the trends we can see here are increasing interest in things like liberal arts and sciences, the creative arts, and what I would term STEM plus, so science and technology courses with added liberal arts, humanities, or creative subjects. And this is perhaps reflecting the changing world that we live in, the changing labour market that you will go into. So how do we do this? Well, we're professional guidance counsellors. We're not teachers with extra responsibility. So we really embed careers education at the heart of what we do. And in pre-IB, we start that with really meaningful engagement with employers, with learning about the world of work, with engaging with some of these external companies who can match you to people in all sorts of careers. So not just the careers that maybe you've talked about around the dinner table, but really opening your mind and developing that learning approach to careers. We do this through lessons, through external events, and through one-to-one guidance. And if you come to St Clare's, you can see a careers advisor any time that you want to, within school hours, sometimes outside school hours, and as often as you want to. We don't limit the numbers of times that you can come and see us. Let me now take you on a journey through IB1. So how do we support our students? Well, you'll see this pathway coming up on your screen, and these small icons and topics are the things that we cover in class. So as we said, we are embedded in the curriculum. We really take a lifelong and life-wide approach to career management. So learning those skills before you go out into the world. And this is backed up by an HE fair, higher education fair, where you can meet and connect with more than 80 universities from more than 15 countries around the world. And we are the largest school-based higher education fair in the south of England. We also bring in external speakers. So a couple of weeks ago, we had, for example, Franklin and Marshall College from the US, and we have around 30 of those every year. So that's your first year, which is also supported, if you're interested in Oxford or medicine, by an hourly class for a whole year of specialist support, working on supercurricular exploration, admissions tests, and interview preparation to make sure that you have that added extra support that you need for those highly competitive courses. We're also really proud of the innovative and creative way that we support our students. We recognise that this exploration and this research can be quite overwhelming for you at 16 or 17 years old. So we've built a bespoke platform which curates all of that information and really kind of pulls together the really credible and reliable sources of information, as well as learning materials in one bespoke platform. This is a public platform, and it also includes a parent zone, because we recognise that this is a complex and challenging time for you as parents as well. We also have a blog which is updated daily with supercurricular resources, with internships, with taster days and open days from universities. So we really, from the very beginning, encourage you as students to engage with that and to get excited about the opportunities that you might have after leaving us. Going on into IB2, this is where the focus becomes really individual. IB2, you're really focusing on your application plans, your application writing. You get very, very dedicated support to craft those personal statements and essays and whatever you need for your applications throughout your second year. And we aim, whether you're going to university or going into a gap year, looking for a higher apprenticeship or going into the world of work, we aim for you to be really kind of in a good place by Christmas of your IB1 year, which means that you have a much better chance of getting those competitive results that you want, and then focusing on your IB trial exams and the rest of your IB work, and maximising your grades at the end of IB2. So what we do is we support talented young people to find their place in the world in the very broadest sense. And I think Ellen is going to expand on that, the broader sense of how we support students.
Indeed. Thank you, Helen, and welcome everybody. Andy has already mentioned that pastoral care at St. Clare's is outstanding. So how do we know? Our students are the best ambassadors of our pastoral care and the environment, nurturing environment that they study and live in. When they arrive, they are often insecure, they have worries. Will they find friends? How will they fit in? Are they going to manage IB? How they need to approach university studies and choices, what they need to do. Lots of insecurities, lots of questions, and lots of self-exploration as well. And when you speak to our students in the second year, so once they've done the journey through St. Clare's, you'll find our students self-assured, very open-minded, highly engaging, strong communicators, and grounded and well-balanced. And this is what 2 years at St. Clare's has done, with our students. But, it doesn't just happen. It's quite a lot of work, lots of structure around it as well. So I'll tell you more about the pastoral care and what it is. So our pastoral care is based on 2 principles pretty much. Having really strong and meaningful relationships, and having healthy lifestyle and understanding what healthy lifestyle is. So let's look at those relationships first. So one of the 2 main important relationships in life of our students is relationship with their personal tutor and the relationship with their house parent if they are boarders. Personal tutor has an overall picture of their academic performance and also personal strengths and difficulties and struggles as they go. Each student meets their personal tutor on a weekly basis, and every 3 weeks they have a discussion about their academic progress. So personal tutor receives tracking reviews from teachers, comments and grades from teachers, and then they have one-to-one discussions about those comments and about those grades. So students know really well every 3 weeks, where they are, how they are doing, what they need to improve. And personal tutor is there to help them, to guide them. Our personal tutors are incredibly caring and so experienced, so they get students where they need to get. They also see termly reports, and again, there's another discussion with students about their subject reports at the end of the term. They also discuss their university choices, help them with personal statements in addition to the career STEAM. So they are there to guide them and support them. Boarding staff, so house parents, they pretty much take on parents' responsibilities. So our students have 2 sets of parents, one in their home country, so wherever they are, and the other one's Oxford house parents. House parents are always there after school, so if they need to chat to an adult after school, house parents are available. If they are unwell, they will look after our students in the evening, at weekends, and they'll make sure that the boarding house is really their second home, and they feel comfortable and they have everything that they need for their studies and comfortable living. Another relationship, subject teachers, so important. We have really strong, meaningful relationships between subject teachers and our students. Our students address our teachers by their first name. There's no hierarchy. We all understand every subject teacher, they join our students on their journey and support them. The approach of our teachers is very affirmative, very caring, in addition to their subject expertise. Pastoral leaders, so myself and assistant principal pastoral, ensure that students have the right support in place. If things are not working out for one reason or the other, we'll just make sure we review the support, we'll put additional support, or we'll change the way we deal with that particular student. And also we have a wonderful nurse and school counselor who are really passionate about mental and physical health, who love working with our students, and they want to help them with whatever problems that they will have. Our nurse is full-time, just as the school counselor, so our students can find them every single day at work. Nurse will also coordinate with the local medical practice where there's our school doctor. And if there's any specialist appointment that needs to be made, our nurse coordinates it all. Also, I've mentioned healthy lifestyle. Now, we have a very holistic approach to the healthy lifestyle. We just don't throw various initiatives and burden our students with even more and more activities. We'll just make sure that what they do on daily basis and the way they live is healthy and makes them think about their health, both physical and mental health. So emotional health, for example, we do talk to them each time if things are not right. Our students learn during PSHE, during nurture groups, or when they talk to counselor, the nurse, personal tutor, they learn to recognize their emotions and they learn to develop strategies. So when they go to university, they are fully equipped with how they deal with various emotions, good or less good. Then we have a technological health, and this is where we ensure that our students are competent users of information technology, and lessons strike the right balance between using technology and then non-technological parts. Global health, this is very important that students are aware what is happening in the world, and they have ability to engage purposely with various issues and matters around the world, and they feel they have the power to do something about it rather than get anxious about various events. And we really want them to learn how to be change agents. CAS program is very instrumental to these, as well as year group meetings and various student-led initiatives. Future health. So Helen has talked a lot about future health. There's our career department that ensures that students are really well informed about their choices and how they go about it, how to position themselves the best possible way to make that future successful and make that first step after St. Clare's successful, optimistic and confident. And there's study health. So at the beginning, we organize study sessions for our students. We look at their study skills, and these study skills are reinforced later throughout the course, either in PSHE sessions or during personal tutor sessions or in boarding houses with house parents. And physical health, again, CAS program is so varied. There are so many options where our students can do lots of sports, but equally our dining hall provides really nutritionist, healthy food options so that our students can eat healthily. We also talk a lot about sleep hygiene. So as you can see, there's quite a lot that we do for our students. And the next slide will just show you some of the initiatives that we have done. But you know, we are thinkers, and every year we think about new initiatives, what is new, what is needed for a particular cohort of students. And then we have, I've already mentioned borders. So majority of our students are boarders. However, our day students are really well integrated. Our day students can take an advantage of having a meal provision 3 times a day. So they can come for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's included in their fee. They say they can socialize with our boarders, either in the boarding house or in the library, you know, on the premises. Often our students leave college late because they spend that time with boarders. We have 12 boarding houses. They vary in size, so some are smaller, some would be, we would have 12 students per house. Some are bigger, but the maximum number is 30 in that boarding house. And every boarding house has a house parent, and I've spoken about the role of house parent already. Rooms are either double or triple. Year 2 students can apply for a single room, but it's a ballot system, so it's not guaranteed that they'll get it. Some rooms are en suite, some rooms are not en suite. However, if the rooms are not en suite, then there are enough showers and bathroom facilities around the house. So our students do not queue to have a shower or to use a bathroom. It's in a residential area, so it really gives that feeling of being a part of Oxford. And now Chris will tell you more about scholarship and other important information. Chris, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. So hopefully after those excellent presentations, you're now thinking about the process of how you would apply to St Clare's. So it's quite a straightforward process. You need to send your most recent school reports to the admissions email address on the screen. And just to give you an idea of what we're looking for, we're not highly selective, but at the same time, we're not non-selective. So you don't need to be a straight A student, but we need to see your reports, which need to suggest that you're serious about your work and you're hardworking and that you want to make progress and get a higher grade as possible. If the reports are okay, we'll invite you to an interview, and also you'll sit an English and maths placement test, which is done online, and attend an interview. Ideally, it's great if you can come visit and come and see us and do the interview in person, but if not, the interview can be done via Zoom. We also have scholarships, as Ellen just mentioned. So those are the deadlines for application. We have 2 rounds of scholarship applications each year. So it's day and boarding scholarships. Very similar kind of process to the non-scholarship application process, in that we'll look at your school reports. The awards are means tested, so your parents will need to have a meeting with the bursar and provide various sort of financial information. And we have scholarship selection days, which sound horrendous because you've got tests, interviews, and so on, but they're actually really good fun. And in fact, one of our students that you're going to hear from, in fact, both of our students that you're going to hear from in a few moments, actually applied for scholarships, so they'll be able to tell you a bit more about that. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is introduce our 2 students who I'm sure are dying to speak to you. So we've got Teresa and Keris. Teresa is a boarding student who's from Slovakia, and Keris is actually South African, but she's a day student living in Oxford. So if I could just ask you both to introduce yourself, maybe starting with you, Teresa, if you could just say a few words about what made you decide to come to St Clare's, and maybe just tell the visitors which subjects you're taking.
Hello. So what made me come here is that I really wanted to go to a school that is open-minded and is different to traditional English school, and St. Clare's was the right choice for me, and I do not regret coming here. It is great. And the subjects I take are biology, chemistry, and psychology on higher level, and then for standard level I have mathematics, analysis and approaches, Spanish ab initio, and English language and literature.
Great. Okay, Keris, could you do the same?
Hi. So as Chris said, I'm South African originally, but I've had a very international upbringing. So I've lived in China, America, and then Oxford for the past 3 years. So I think what attracted me to St. Clare's was just that their values, that sense of international mindedness really aligned with my own and my own experiences. And I just felt like I really connected to the school. And then I take psychology, biology, and English literature at a higher level, and French B, theatre, and mathematics applications and interpretations at standard level.
That's great. Thank you very much. So just to say to the audience, do please feel free to ask our students questions. Just put them in the Q&A box. But in the meantime, Keris, just remaining with you for a moment. One of the sort of big anxieties that I think potential day students have is that they're going to feel excluded and different because they're not boarders, and they are in a bit of a minority. I think there's only 15% day students. So Keris, could you just say a bit about how you find being a day student?
Yeah, I think when I started at St. Clare's, that was definitely a concern I had. I'd never been at a boarding school before, and I wondered what the day student experience would be like. But I'd say I feel very integrated into the community. I spend a lot of time at school. After school hours, I often have dinner with my friends who are boarders. And yeah, I think that kind of adds on to the sense of like the diverse community at St. Clare's. Everyone's really open and accepting. And I think with things like CAS, you just feel really involved in extracurricular activities, and I'll often meet up with my friends from school at the library, even during weekends. So you really don't feel separated from the boarding students.
Thank you, Keris. And you mentioned CAS. What are you doing for CAS at the moment?
So this term, I'm doing theatre CAS as my creativity, and we're putting on a production about the Beatles at the end of term. And then for my activity, I'm doing Wellbeing Walk, and my service is the Student Council.
Excellent, that's great. And Teresa, what about you? What's your CAS program?
So as my activity, I am doing postals, which is basically creating small gifts to children who have disabilities, and we try to make them happy about small things, and it makes also us feel better because it's very nice to make something for people who we don't even know who they are. Then I do for my activity badminton, and for my creativity I do MedSoc as I want to go and study medicine.
Excellent, great. We've got a very interesting question from Adam. Adam's asking whether it's hard to focus at school with all the independence you have. Teresa, do you want to have a go at answering that question?
I wouldn't say so, because the small classroom size provides us with open conversations during the classes. So I actually focus more during school as I would in my home country, because it's very different and everybody is trying to learn new stuff. It's not like we're forced to be there, we want to be there. And after school, it's very nice to go study in the library because everybody helps each other there. And even if you want to study in a quiet space, you can go to the common room in your own boarding house or in your room. It's very fine.
Excellent. Keris, do you want to add anything to that?
I think like at St. Clare's, there's a really nice way of easing students into the IB program. So even from orientation weekend, which is a really good opportunity for everyone to like meet each other and adjust to the school, into the first term, there's like a very nice steady increase in the workload. So they, I guess, account for that period of adjustment where you're in a new environment with new people. But I don't think it's necessarily any harder to manage than a different high school A-level program.
Great. Keris, was your experience at St. Clare's, was that your first time boarding?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got another interesting question from Adam. It's really about the adapting to a new lifestyle of boarding. How would you say you managed that? You've obviously managed it quite successfully, so that your academic progress wasn't in any way hindered.
I mean, I think, Teresa, do you want to take the boarding?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Sorry.
Fine.
Thank you.
I think boarding school is very, very good because you have people around you all the time, so they can help you even with the small things, and you have people to talk to about anything all the time. I had a very lucky choice. Well, you cannot pick your roommates when you're in IB1, and they're chosen randomly, and it's very exciting to meet them for the first time. And I live in a triple room, and it's very nice to have 2 roommates because there is always somebody in my room who I can talk to, open up, and tell them what's on my mind. I think it's great. And it's not like you have to be in the boarding house all the time. You can go to the city center for a walk, you can go to the gym, you can do whatever.
Brilliant. Okay. And Teresa, another question for you. How did you find the language when you first arrived? Because obviously English isn't your first language, as good as your English is. Was that difficult when you first arrived?
It wasn't difficult for me because I studied in English in my old school. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was different to adjust to the everyday speaking in English, as I didn't have to do that back home. So I think even people who struggled with English when they came here, they found it nice, and the environment here is inclusive, so nobody judged your English when you came. They try to speak to you as much as they can because they want to know you more, even if the language is a little bit of a problem. It improves very quickly, and you will find it easy here if you have a language barrier.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if you really submerse yourself and as you say, Teresa, speak as much English as possible, then I think it shouldn't really be a problem. Okay. Can you go back to you, Keris? I promise not to ask you any questions about boarding. Keris, do you have any plans yet about what you might do beyond St Clare's? And can you say a few words about how the careers department, Helen and her team, have helped you?
Yeah, so I would really like to study psychology at university. Coming into St Clare's, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to study, so I really enjoyed my time living in the US, so I thought I might want to go back there. But also the university opportunities in the UK are really great. So I think the careers department has been really great at supporting that process, just making me more aware of options that are available to me. And for example, Helen really supported me with my Common App application. The first draft I wrote for the US. It's really nice to have someone to bounce ideas off, and they really have a good understanding of what universities are looking for and what the best option for you is. And I think that they really see you as individuals, which is nice.
Great. And what about you, Teresa? What are your plans beyond the IB?
I think I want to go study medicine. It was my plan when I came here to go study medicine somewhere I wanted to go to the UK to study medicine. That was my plan, why I wanted to go study IB, because I think it prepares you for the university very nicely. And my experience with the careers team is great because at some point I had a debate if I want to do medicine or dentistry, and they really tried to help me and decide. They weren't forcing me to decide right now. They were trying to make me think about all the aspects the career will take, and yeah, they helped me a lot.
Oh, that's good to know. Good to know. And another question that we often get from applicants is homework. Can you two honestly answer how much homework you do roughly each day, and maybe on Saturdays and Sundays as well? Keris, starting with you.
I think it's not as bad as I expected it to be. There is a decent amount of homework, but I think you have a feeling that everything you do kind of contributes towards your final results and, furthering your studies. So it's not just kind of tasks to keep you busy. It's all really focused, revision centered homework. But I'd say a day, probably, it really depends, maybe 2 to 3 hours after school. And then you've got to dedicate some time on weekends towards schoolwork, but there is also time to have fun. And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily much more than other courses would have.
And
I would say that it depends on weekly basis. It really depends on weekly basis. Right now we're having exam week, so we study more, and you're kind of not forced to study by your roommates or people around you, but when you see them studying, you study too, because it motivates you. And even if you study one day and the next day you go out and you have fun, nobody studies here all the time. And sometimes it also depends on the subject, how much work you have to do. So for example, for biology, it may be more than for English that I have to do. And as everybody has a different program, it depends on what you choose to do. And that will also influence how much work you will have to do.
Excellent. And Keris, you mentioned in one of your previous answers about orientation weekend, which I think is really important, particularly again as a day student. Could you just tell the audience just briefly what's involved with orientation weekend and how it helped you to settle?
Yeah, so orientation weekend, it was a 4-day event where all the students arrived at the school, and there were a lot of great opportunities to get acquainted with the campus and to meet IB2s, which was really nice, and hear their experience. And it also presented an opportunity to meet your subject teachers. And for me, as a day student, I boarded for orientation weekend, which I think was really good to kind of integrate everyone into the community, and yeah, make everyone feel really involved.
Teresa, do you want to add anything to that?
I think it was very important for me, because when I came here the first day, I had no idea where to go, what to do. And it was nice to get to know other classmates, but not necessarily classmates, because you didn't even know they will be with you in classes. So you get to know a lot of people during the first week. And then you also meet IB2s that you wouldn't necessarily speak to if you are a more shy person. And it was very nice. We did a lot of activities. You get to know people, and the most important, you get to know the campus, because if you don't know where to go, then you're lost. So it was very nice to know where to go.
Oh, that sounds like a relief. Again, to the audience, we're probably going to close in a few minutes. So if you do have any final questions, either for the students or any of us, do ask them. But I'm just going to ask Keris one more question. Keris, as a local student, what made you choose the IB rather than doing A-levels?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So I have a brother who's in the same year as me, and he chose to do A-levels and I chose to do the IB. I think it was really just a process of figuring out what worked for me. So I really liked the breadth of the IB program. When I was considering A-levels, I had about 5 written down, and obviously you can only study 3, and I really liked the thought of not having to limit myself. I was only 16, so I still wanted to have a lot of options open to me, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And of course, at St. Clare's, that sense of international mindedness really appealed to me. I feel like even though everyone at St. Clare's has a really different life experience, there's a sense of connection, and I could connect with them in ways that I couldn't necessarily connect with some of my friends doing A-levels.
Excellent, that's good. We've got a question about sports, which is a good question. So sports is very much part of the CAS programme, which the girls have described and Al spoke about earlier on. Because we're in an urban campus, we're right in the city, we don't have our own sports fields, but the students can get membership, or in fact do get membership of a local fitness centre where there's a really good gym, they've got indoor tennis, there's a swimming pool, we use local basketball courts, football's a very good sport at St Clare's, as you can probably see from the picture on your screen. We play at a local pitch, which is about a mile away. We've got a small fleet of minibuses to take the students there. Sorry, Teresa, can you just remind me what you do for activity in your CAS program?
I do badminton, but I also go to the gym. I like running, so I go running. I sometimes go play football with my friends. So I'm really a sporty person, and it's not like you don't have time for it. Everybody's like, oh, okay, you will not have time because you have to study. It's not true. If you want to go and you really like sports, you have many opportunities here.
Great. Okay. And Keris, we've got another interesting question from Adam, who's asking about whether your sense of independence has changed for the better since you've been at St Clare's. What would you say to that?
I would say so. I think at St Clare's, probably more so than other schools, you're really respected. And students have a lot of freedom. I think you feel trusted. I'm sure Teresa would say, like, by the boarding parents and just in general by all the staff. And you're encouraged to think independently, which you kind of learn through TOK, and to question things that you're being told. And I think that really just promotes a good sense of independence.
I think that's an amazing note on which to finish. Thank you, Keris, and thank you, Teresa, as well. Done a wonderful job of answering some questions and being prompted by Chris. And that note of independence of thought it epitomizes much of what St Clair stands for: independence of thought and international mindedness. Thank you so much for listening to us and hearing about St Clair's. We'd very much like to have applications from you to join us either this September or maybe in the future. Thank you very much, Steve, for attending. If you've got any further questions, please do contact us and we'll do our very best to answer them. Thank you very much indeed. Goodbye.